So thank you for everyone who could join. This is our last talk in the Georgia Wildlife Federation's career series that is being funded by NSSF. I'm glad you all were able to join, and our guest speaker today is going to be Phillip Harding. He is with Burris Optics, and you can take it away. You should have the ability to share your screen as well whenever you're ready.
Awesome. I should be able to do exactly what I need to do, which is that. Yeah? Yeah. Looks like that's working. You see my ugly mug on the front there. And yeah, so like I said, I just kind of whipped this together here in the last hour or so. So it's very, very basic, but I tend to do a lot of freeform stuff anyway. So it actually kind of works out for how I usually operate. But my understanding of this program is that you guys are looking and interested in careers in the outdoor and possibly firearms industries. I think that I've got a fairly reasonable smattering of experience in a bunch of different sectors there. So I'll just jump right into a little bit of details about myself real quick. Uh, my name is Phillip Harding. I am currently the National Training Manager for Burris and Steiner Optics nationwide. I'll get into what that entails later, but kind of how I got into this was unexpected, really. You would not have expected someone like me to end up in the outdoor industry, and I think you might find that a lot of people either fall into it or follow a passion, or it just happens. They wake up one day and, oh, what am I doing here? And they end up staying. I know I am. I've been here for the last 10 years and in the industry as a whole for the last 15. So I've definitely really enjoyed it, and I have no plans at all of leaving. Really, really rewarding career so far. Started out, my dad's Air Force officer. He actually retired after 30 years as a colonel in the U.S. Air Force, traveled all the time. I never actually lived in the same building more than 3 years. So that kind of played into my experience with being all over, not just the country, but the world. I did elementary school in Japan and Okinawa. I did high school in Korea. Um, Lots of cross country travel in between there as we changed duty stations. I got to experience a good chunk of the national park system, stay for a week in Yellowstone when we're transitioning between a duty station in Alabama and then moving all the way to Hawaii one year. Going through seeing Yosemite, one of the first national parks. That one was really, really eye-opening, and just kind of getting an appreciation for the outdoors, not only the natural terrain, but the wildlife, and the fact that we are pretty blessed in this country to have so much open space that is protected at the local, state, and federal levels, and set aside for us to be able to enjoy is pretty fantastic. And I got to experience a lot of it from a very early age, which I like to think at least had a small impact on my path moving into this industry. Did a lot with the Boy Scouts as well. My parents really wanted me to make sure and spend a lot of time in the outdoors. And as I'm moving around, I'm always the new kid at school, so it was always a challenge making friends and all that. But Boy Scouts was a nice constant for me growing up, to be able to make friends and spend time in the outdoors, especially. Once again, going and learning and experiencing all about the outdoors and getting outside while being sociable. As I went into college, I actually started at Penn State. My dad was stationed in Maryland at the time, and Pennsylvania was one state north. It was like an hour and a half drive. So I said, whatever, I'll go ahead and start going to school there. The Mont Alto campus is where I was at, which is actually the home of the Penn State Forestry Academy. I had no interest or business going into forestry. I was actually there doing pre-med studies, but being there in the middle of the foothills of the Allegheny Mountains and in the Allegheny National Forest, I did get to spend a lot of time in the outdoors there. Did some camping while I was there on campus. very, very small community. So I got to spend a lot of time just out there enjoying nature. And this was long before I got into hunting or fishing or anything like that. So I'm just out there in the woods hanging out is really all it was, which was kind of nice. Then my dad transitioned down to a PCS down to Keesler Air Force Base in Mississippi in Biloxi. And I followed him down there and changed schools to the University of South Alabama that you guys may know. Um, Go Jags. And spent 4 years there doing some pre-med. But probably about halfway through, I decided, you know what, medicine's not for me. I really started to get into a rhythm with my part-time job that I'll get into on the next slide, doing retail gun sales, and that was really starting to take my interest. So I kind of dove into that and said, let me get out, finish my studies, get my Bachelor of Science degree in administrative science, and press forward with that career. During my time in college and for actually several years afterwards, I did a lot of volunteer work with Students for Concealed Carry, which is where I started to get a little bit of exposure and interest in the laws, legal aspects, compliance, that kind of thing. And I developed kind of a mind for reading all of that legalese type material, and either whether it was finding a loophole or just trying to navigate it so that I could get myself a concealed carry permit, that kind of thing. Doing that volunteer work was pretty rewarding in that aspect of just being able to communicate and understand what's going on around me from a political or legal aspect. As I started off in a proper career, I did part-time work at Academy Sports and Outdoors, doing just regular old retail gun sales. I work in the gun counter. People come up, they want to buy a gun. I got to run them through all of the gun paperwork. A lot of basics there. Other than that, it was a pretty simple standard retail job. It just had the added perk of, instead of selling shoes or clothes or electronics or whatever, I got to sell guns. So I got to learn a lot about the firearms industry, firearms technologies, and very quickly kind of became the gun guru. I'm always been a nerd about all kinds of technical aspects of really anything I get involved with. So it was only a matter of time before I started figuring out these guns that I didn't have a whole lot of experience with going in. When I first did my interview at Academy for a little $8 an hour, basically minimum wage job, they gave me the whole "sell me a pen" spiel, and I sold him the pen, and he was like, "Well, you don't know guns yet, but you'll learn them. I have a feeling that you'll pick it up pretty quick," and I did. So I would definitely say, no matter where you start, a willingness to learn is going to take you a long way. As you'll see here in a moment, it definitely has for me. After Academy Sports, I did that for 3.5 years while I was finishing up at University of South Alabama. And then I was actually picked by one of my general managers who left Academy to open the Bass Pro Shops in Tallahassee. So when that building opened, I was there during the construction of the building and getting everything set up. They had tapped me to be the gun vault specialist, which was a very interesting job. My first real full-time big boy type job, but really focused on the compliance and legal aspects of what it is to run a gun shop. So learning all about our federal firearms license, how that interacts with the ATF, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, and working on all the compliance aspects to make sure that our store did not lose that license, that we're only engaging in lawful gun transfers, firearm transfers, and making sure that we're not breaking any laws, and neither are any of our customers when we're transferring those guns. Very, very big responsibility on my shoulders for, I think I was 24 at the time, 23 maybe. And the whole store, where we went through, in the 9 months that I worked there, we must have gone through at least 9,000 guns that we transferred through there. So 9,000 different guns, 9,000 different transactions that ultimately I'm still responsible for. I can actually be called into court on any one of those transactions for I've got another at least 12 years that I could still be called into court on any of those transactions, that I need to be able to think back and remember that we did everything exactly the right way. So that is another avenue is compliance. Is something that's very, very important in our world, because there are so many rules and regulations that we have to abide by. There was a transition period between Bass Pro Shops and where I am now. I just did a small summer job for 2 or 3 months at the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission. As I said, I opened that Bass Pro in Tallahassee, so I was there in the capital of Florida. And the Fish and Wildlife headquarters happened to be just down the road. They needed some folks to fill commercial fishing tags, and at the tail end of it, I actually got to do some gator tags. So we'd sit there and process everybody's application, actually put the physical tags in the mail for all the folks that were participating in the gator hunts that late summer, early fall. And that was a really interesting experience where I got to learn a different side of compliance. Instead of being the one having to follow the rules, now we're on the side where we're the ones making the rules and making sure that those rules are communicated effectively to the consumers, to the businesses, the outfitters, the people that are selling these hunts, these tags, to be able to participate in the alligator hunt, especially, but also in the commercial fishing piece. And then while I was there, I'm also in the background learning about the biologists coming through, the law enforcement officers coming through, and hearing their stories, hearing what they're doing on a day-to-day basis to make sure that the ecosystems that we are impacting on a daily basis, when we're out there recreating, hunting, fishing, even just boating around. I didn't realize just how much effort went into managing all of that. And for us, we go and we buy a fishing license and we go spend a day at the lake and have some fun, no big deal. But for these guys at the Conservation Commission, it was their everyday 9 to 5, even on the weekends sometimes, job to make sure that those natural resources are always there for us to enjoy. And that was, even though it was only 2 or 3 months that I was there, it was a really rewarding experience looking back, and just getting to see how that works firsthand was really cool. So we're about 20 minutes in, finally make it to my time here at Burris, which I have been here now. In July will be my 10th year that I've been here. So I've been here quite a while. I actually started off in technical support, literally just on the phone. Somebody calls in with a problem, I solve their problem, or if it's not something that I can solve just by talking to them, I would take care of their warranty concerns, have them mail it in. We'll fix their scope. It was just kind of my way to kind of keep my foot in the door of the industry. So I'd packed up from Tallahassee and moved all the way to Colorado, just to pick up the phone and do some warranty calls for customers, which was kind of wild at the time, but ended up being the start of a pretty awesome career just here at Burris and Steiner. After 2.5 years of basically just that, my career really started to take off, and I moved into sales. But specifically for the Steiner brand, where previously I had been working and answering all those questions for both Burris and Steiner here in the United States. I was moving over into a more administrative sales type role for Steiner only. And this was where I really started to travel for work, which has really kind of taken me back to my childhood roots of always traveling, going places, being comfortable in uncomfortable situations, and something that to me I feel comfortable with. A lot of people when they leave home, it makes them anxious, makes them nervous, but for me that's just my element. So it takes a special type of individual to be able to pack up and go somewhere, get a job done, and be able to come back home without having it rattle you too much. And that Steiner sales support role is really where that started. Steiner is an optics company based in Germany, but Burris company, who actually does Burris and Steiner USA, we're the distributor for all of Steiner's German manufactured product here in the United States. And in that job, I actually got to travel all the way overseas to Steiner's factories in Germany and got to see all those firsthand, learn about how they're grinding and polishing their lenses and applying optical coatings to these lenses in order to make the pictures brighter, bring out the resolution, bring out the picture. For whenever you throw up a pair of binoculars or look through a rifle scope, you've got a nice clear image and you're able to do what you need to do with it. But being able to go all the way overseas and see how that worked was pretty cool, pretty awesome. A nice little perk of the job, if you will. But it was also a learning experience. I mean, I was there for a reason. It wasn't just a vacation for me. I'm actually over in Germany doing work, and that was the point where I really kind of felt like I made it. Like, I'm traveling overseas. I'm here in Germany for work. How cool is this? I can't believe I started doing this by selling guns on the gun counter. And then thinking about how all of that experience has grown me as a person and put me in a position to give back to the outdoor world. Um, it's just a really cool feeling to be able to come back and say, yeah, I have an impact here. I go out and I see hunters and I see them using a Steiner pair of binoculars or a Burris rifle scope, and all of the efforts that I have been doing for the last 10 years plays into that. So I was like, I'm not going to say that I made that rifle scope, but maybe I had a hand in designing the reticle on that when I was a product manager, or I sold that scope to your dealer where you bought that from. It's really neat to sit there and see people using your products out in literally the wild, and know that you had an impact there. Um, After Steiner, I came back onto primarily the Burris side and did a assistant sales manager, which was basically just a similar role, but only for Burris. Um, that's where I got to spend more time traveling out to different dealers in different areas. So I'm located in Greeley, Colorado. It's about an hour north of Denver. We have some wide open plains where we'll do a lot of hunting of pronghorn, which are very, very fast antelope, goat type ungulates that are quite tasty and that we like to hunt out here. But we also have the mountains just about 40 miles from 40 miles west of us here. So we're pretty close to both, and seeing the regional differences in how dealers where we're at versus how dealers, let's say where you guys are at down in the southeast in Georgia, where whitetail is big. You even got the key deer down south, and obviously pigs everywhere. Seeing the regional differences in not only the hunting styles but the optic styles. So whereas I like to hunt with a nice 4-20 power that's got a digital dial attached to it, and we've got some pretty high tech stuff so that we can shoot long range very, very accurately. That technology is almost useless down where you guys are at, and I'm in the unique position to have lived down there on the Gulf Coast and seen what the whitetail hunting is like. And all of a sudden, what's more important to the East Coast and the Gulf Coast folks is we want big objective lenses that pull in a lot of light so that we can get every last bit of light out of the daylight, so that when we're in our legal hunting hours, we can actually see what we're aiming at, count the tines on our bucks, make sure that we're shooting a legal buck, and that sort of thing. Where if we never left Colorado, we wouldn't know that. And we would sit there wondering, oh, I wonder why our products aren't selling that well in Georgia. Well, we're building the wrong products. That's why. But learning that in that Burris assistant sales manager role played a big part in my move over to thermal product manager, thermal product manager and overall product manager for Burris. Taking all those lessons, everything I learned from dealers, from talking to consumers, hunters, everybody that's elsewhere in the country, and taking all of those notes and saying, hey, I understand that we are a Western company and we do a lot of Western style hunting, but we need to make some special products so that the folks back east can get their jobs done too. and being able to take that experience back to the engineering teams and make new products, design new reticles, focus on new technologies is pretty cool. Like I mentioned, there are reticles that I've designed for certain applications. It's not all hunting. We've also got shooting type stuff, tactical type stuff, law enforcement contracts that are huge for Steiner. And a lot of that, everybody's got a special use case that they need to meet. And my job when I was a product manager was to find out what all those different needs were and figure out ways to adapt our products, our optics to fit those needs. And if we could make a minor change, like add a reticle or change up some illumination, maybe put a larger objective lens, change the magnification range of our optics, and make a quick change to be able to fit somebody's needs, then we would do it. And again, having that impact and looking back and saying, "Oh wow, I did that. I made that choice, and it turned out to be an awesome product." Is again a really cool, really rewarding experience. The other positions that you see in there, things like marketing and map compliance specialist, that kind of rolls right back into some of my compliance history of, hey, here are the rules. We need to make sure that other people are following them, or we need to make sure that we're following those rules. Those roles again just kind of call back to some of my previous positions at Bass Pro when I was doing gun vault specialist work and doing all that ATF compliance stuff. Being able to tap into that previous knowledge was really helpful in that role there. And as I've gone and continued to acquire that knowledge and acquire those skills, I've just managed to apply them in a broader way. And as you can see there, moving up into regional sales manager and then a national training manager, what I'm doing right now is basically I'm taking all of that knowledge and dispensing it in the most efficient way to our sales reps, the people who are going out and visiting dealers and saying, "Hey, y'all need to be buying Burris and Steiner optics, and here's why." I need to be able to tell them, well, if you are the rep for the Northeast, let's say, those guys are going to be more interested in larger whitetail hunting. If you're all the way up in Maine, maybe we're talking bear and moose. So we've got different optics that are going to be better for that versus when I go talk to, I've actually got a trip to Washington and Oregon. That's going to be a completely different conversation because those guys are probably going to be hunting larger deer and elk and possibly traveling up to Alaska to go for things like caribou and again, moose. And all different products that I need to be able to know, hey, this region is going to be more interested in this product. This region, maybe where they're hunting, they're going to be looking for something else. And then, of course, nationwide, we've got things like our law enforcement, our military, self-defense type stuff, because we definitely do that as well. And I call right back to my students for concealed carry volunteer days and I go, well, people are thinking about self-defense. So maybe we need to adjust some of our optics and tailor them more towards self-defense, which we have. We just launched a new concealed carry red dot that has hit the market and it's gone pretty well because of that input. That's where I'm at right now. Going in and doing the training is again kind of a culmination of all of the skills and everything that I've learned thus far. And like I said, really cool place to be, and I could not complain about it at all. My last slide here, I've got some of the things that I do as opposed to the jobs themselves. Talking about shows. Many of you may, if you have any interest in the firearms world at all, you probably know about SHOT Show. SHOT Show is a huge deal. Every year we all go to Vegas and have a large convention where everybody's talking about the new products that are coming out. Lots of media interviews. If you please don't, but if you do, go and look my name up on YouTube, you will see a bunch of SHOT Show interviews of me sitting there talking to a bunch of different people and highlighting new products, highlighting different things that are going on in the industry. So trade shows are a big thing, not only SHOT Show, but the NRA annual meetings. They change locations of that every year. This year is in Dallas. That's always a fun one. I especially like the NRA show because you get to talk to consumers. Since it's open to the public as opposed to being locked only to industry professionals like SHOT Show is. NRA, you get to actually meet and talk to real people who are going to ask me all kinds of wild off the wall questions about our products and, well, how come you don't make something like this? And I am always sitting there with my little notebook, taking notes and saying, well, I had 16 people ask me about this, only one asked me about this, and maybe we ought to, that one that 16 people were talking about, maybe we ought to consider because it seemed to be pretty popular. After that, hunts. Like I said before we started, the two animals that are there on the wall, those are my first two big game animals that I've ever harvested. And the first one, it turned out it was a media hunt. We were supposed to take a media professional, a writer, out and take photos, take him on a guided hunt, but they had to back out at the last minute. We still had the tag and everything was all paid for. So the general manager of the company said, "You're doing good. Why don't you go kill yourself a pronghorn?" And talk about a perk of the job. That was absolutely fantastic to be able to drive out. It was only about an hour from here, but drive out, have a professional guide take me out, find me a nice looking pronghorn, and shoot it, harvest it, take it home. And I had pronghorn steaks that night. It was a really cool experience. And um, like I said, hunting is still fairly new to me, but even only in the last 3 years, I have got a huge appreciation for the people that go and they put meat on their table just by hunting. They go and they do it themselves. They're not going to the grocery store and paying $6 a pound for ground beef. They are going out into the wilderness. They're spending however much on their tag. For me, it ended up being like $35 for the tag. And thankfully the hunt was paid for, but with the guide. But when I went and did the mule deer over there, that was on my own. So I paid $45 for that tag and nothing else. The gas to get me down to the hunting area. So maybe another $10. But being able to go out and with $45 bring home 80 pounds of meat is huge. And now all of a sudden it's cost effective, it's delicious. You know where it came from. It's totally organic, grass fed, all the good things. And oh, by the way, you did it yourself. And probably one of the most rewarding things of those experiences that I've learned in the recent years of hunting is finding where my place is in that whole circle of life and in the food chain. So, clearly humans are kind of closer to the top most of the time, but seeing the responsibility that goes with that, you can't just go around killing animals willy-nilly. You've got to, from my experience at the Fish and Wildlife Commission, you've got to manage those animals in order to maintain healthy herds. And if you don't, then you run into trouble. Either you end up like problems that I had in Maryland when I lived there were dead deer on the side of the road hit by cars all the time. They don't have enough hunters. They don't have enough people culling the animals and reducing the population to a point where they don't constantly end up in the road getting hit by cars. And then last year, it was the total opposite problem for me. I went out, I had another mule deer tag, this time a doe, which I figured would be a lot easier. But we had a really hard winter last winter, and there was a lot of animals died and didn't make it through the winter. And because of that, there were fewer to be seen. And I ended up going home empty-handed. That's just nature of nature, as it were. As Colorado Parks and Wildlife has made their changes this year, the tag allotments are going to be much lower because of that. It was just such a devastating winter for our animals that they need to be managed. We need to make sure that we're not killing as many of them through hunting, and we also have to balance that with the income to the state and the income that it takes to manage all of the Colorado Parks and Wildlife staff. So what they're doing is they're basically reducing the number of tags overall, but they're also balancing the number of tags that are going to be in state regular locals that are paying their fee and getting their animal, and the out of state folks that pay a premium to be able to hunt the good wildlife that's here in Colorado. Because they've got to be able to balance their budget somehow. So it ends up being, well, these out of staters pay a little bit more for the right to be able to come in and take a Colorado elk or a Colorado mule deer. And just the amount of effort that goes into flying a helicopter out there, counting all the animals or as many as you can, getting an idea of what the population's like, and saying, in this area, we have to reduce the total number of tags that we have to give. But in this area, we're going to make up for it because these guys, down in Southeast Colorado, they did great. So we'll just bump up the number of tags that we can offer there, and people will just have to adapt and move around just like the animals do. So learning all of that and seeing it all in action from all of these different facets that I've been able to see it from have all been pretty fantastic. Hunting aside, I have also done a lot of shooting competitions. I actually participate regularly in precision long range shooting matches, as well as 3-gun and pistol style shooting matches. That's me and my current shooting partner. We'll be heading out 3 times this year to go and do some really awesome what I call a field match. This particular one is the Burris Optics Team Challenge, where it's kind of wild. I'll just go ahead and explain it. You get 3 days. You have 3 courses that are about a mile and a half long, and you have 1 hour to hike the entire course, find 4 shooting positions, find your targets at each shooting position, range them, and engage them. You don't get any help. It's just they start the clock, go have fun, and whoever comes back with the best score obviously wins. And then in the afternoon, they do some really fun side matches where they'll set up. They'll do some pistols along with your AR-15, and then your buddy's got a precision rifle, and they'll set up like a little scenario, like, oh, the helicopter's over there, so you've got to drag your buddy, who's a big dummy, drag your buddy all the way across while you've got all your gear on, so you're huffing and puffing, and then once you get there, you gotta make some crazy shots at extreme long range, or pistol shots at 80 yards or something crazy like that. But for me, it's work is the really cool part. There's people who spend $3,000 in a weekend to be able to do fun stuff like this, and here I go. I have to do it for work because we've got to come out and represent the company. So as far as some of the rewarding opportunities I get to do, those ones are right there at the top. Hunting's awesome, but getting to go out and do fun, cool matches like that is even better, in my opinion. Going out and seeing the entire country on dealer and rep visits. Like I said, I've got a trip to Oregon and Washington here week after next. Actually, it's a shooting match next weekend, and then trip to Oregon and Washington to see the Pacific Northwest. And then I'll be down in you guys' area, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Texas, right after the eclipse, that second weekend of April. I'll be out there driving around. We'll probably end up driving about 1,500 miles in a week, visiting at least 7 different dealers, major dealers in the area, selling them Burris, selling them some Steiner. I will be training their staff on our products and getting them all ramped up for the buying season as it comes in the summertime and early fall. And then the last one here, customer travel and media shoots. Those are kind of what I was talking about with my pronghorn hunt, a media shoot, being able to go and do some photography, get some images for the catalogs, images for or videos for YouTube and all that, so we can get our marketing done. And then customer travel every once in a while. We've got a big customer that we got to kind of wine and dine, convince them to make a big order. So there was a really cool one during my first trip to Germany, where we actually brought 3 customers with us and went and drove Mercedes on through the Black Forest, and walked through the Mercedes-Benz Museum, after doing, of course, a factory tour and seeing Steiner in all of its glory and all the things that they do. Just a really, really cool experience. I know it has nothing to do with hunting or shooting or anything like that, but as part of the job, I'm out there getting work done, working with these consumers, working with the customers, learning what they like, what they don't like, and getting out and doing some fun stuff at the same time that we're getting work done is really cool to be able to mix business and pleasure like that. That the link that I put on here at the bottom, unfortunately, I didn't let it hyperlink itself so that it was clickable. But if you guys want, I'm happy to send this to you. Additionally, you can look it up on Burris's YouTube page is kind of the last little piece that I wanted to talk about. That is Burris's kind of mini documentary called Cowboy Insurance. Talking about our new thermal line. We're on our third generation of thermal, and this video was done for our first generation of thermal back in 2021. Talking about how useful these new technologies like thermal can be to hunters, to wildlife law enforcement, to regular law enforcement, as well as search and rescue and whatnot. But the basic premise behind that video was you've got cowboys out here in the West dealing with calving season. So they've got their whole free range cattle that they've got to go out and find all the pregnant cows. And they got to keep an eye on them because when they're out, especially in the free range, there's coyotes, there's wolves, there's all kinds of predators out there just waiting for that calf to get born so they can pick it off and take it. And every single one of those calves, depending on the breed, it could be $800 to $2,000. Just a total loss right out the door that the farmer just had to eat if they happen to lose that cow, they lose that money. So they are very, very motivated to protect their flock, their herd from predators. And thermal allows those farmers and cowboys to be able to see whenever there are packs of coyotes or packs of wolves out stalking around, and be able to take a more active role in protecting their herds. Pretty awesome piece, and hopefully people will see it and kind of get a bit of a healthy respect for how technology can be a positive force in the shooting and hunting community. Because we do get a lot of folks, especially out here in the West, that end up, in my opinion, a little too preoccupied with things like fair chase, things like well, we need to make sure that the animals don't have a total disadvantage. I'm like, well, at the end of the day, the whole idea is we're out there to put an animal down and be able to take it home and put it in our freezer. So if we make it too hard, then all of a sudden we worry about not just the ethics of fair chase, but the ethics of wounding an animal and not being able to successfully dispatch it and take it home. So if we don't take advantage of these advanced technologies to be able to increase a hunter's chances of doing that, then are we really doing the right thing is one of the big questions there. But I think that was the last of it for me. If anybody's got any questions, I am happy to answer them. Like I said, as a training guy, that's a lot of what I end up doing is answering questions. So this is the longest I've talked all at once in a while.
Well, I do want to thank you for that talk. That was very interesting. And I will also say that I did watch the cowboy insurance video before, and it is awesome to see just how effective those scopes are. But yeah, we can open it up for questions if anybody's got questions.